Hi everyone, my name is Mohit and today I'm going to present upon .NET Core. So first things first, we need to understand what is .NET Core and how it improves upon the existing framework. So you can look at it, the existing framework, which is more or it's been same for uh, across a decade. So the basic structure has three things: the common language runtime, the class library, and common language specification. So the main part of this framework is the common language runtime. So what does common language runtime means? The main part in a common language runtime is the just-in-time compiler. So whatever coding we do, we have a specific language for that, but the computer does not understand that language. So just-in-time compiler converts that high-level language into a low-level language that the computer can read, the operating system can read. So the main part is the common language runtime. So apart from that, we have all the different modules that we can work upon in ASP.NET. Those are the web forms and Windows Form, ADO.NET and ASP.NET. So now in .NET, we can work upon these things in different languages. That could be C Sharp and VB.NET and JavaScript. So to understand those languages, we have the common language specification, which set the rules for all the languages. So this is .NET structure, the basic .NET structure, which has been same across a decade. So now we have .NET Core, which does not replace this structure, but it's like a branch for this. So what were the problems with those basic structures? This .NET Core handles those. So it was launched in 2015. It was initially launched as ASP.NET 5. Like I told you, the basic structures had many iterations from ASP.NET Framework 1 to 4.6. After that, they launched ASP.NET 5. Now, the basic difference is instead of handling those issues which we have, we made a completely new setup. So it was renamed as ASP.NET Core. So this is a parallel structure to the basic structure which I explained to you. So what are the key values that were included in this core set framework? So we can the basic structure which I showed you earlier, .NET framework, that was limited to Windows machines. Okay, now this core, we have the options to choose our editors. It is an open source, like we can also contribute as developers. Initially, the Microsoft did not had that provision. So, and seamless transition to cloud. So before this ASP.NET Core, there was only one proprietary software which Windows offered, that was Azure. Only using that Azure, we could use the cloud system. Now we have a new cloud system which is a hybrid one. So we can either use that Azure or we can use the new local uh, system that Core provides us. It is fast and totally modular. In our in our framework, .NET framework till 4.6, we had many development platforms like ASP.NET Web Forms, Web Application, Web API. Some of them were not total modular, like the ASP.NET Pages, Web Forms, basic Web Forms. Those were not modular. So the .NET Core totally removes them. This is totally modular and builds on the structure of MVC. So what are the benefits? We can use this ASP.NET to have it works on many platforms. Instead of using only Windows machinery, now we can use Linux and also Mac to develop our code. So openness, as I told you before, we can also contribute to the code. In earlier, it was not possible. So what's common between the existing .NET framework and the new .NET Core? I'm sorry, this is actually .NET Core. So common features are the compilers, the NuGet packages. These are the packages, the extra libraries which we can, third-party libraries which we can use in our code. So earlier there were WPF. This is also a platform where this is kind of applications which were offered by .NET Framework, but now these are not being offered because it was not modular and these were Windows specific, both Windows forums and
Windows Forms or Windows Forms?
sorry, mistake. So this is Windows Forms. So what's not supported is WPF, Windows Presentation Framework, and WinForms and Web Forms, binary serialization, and anything that is specific to Windows, like Windows Registry Services and Windows Services. So these are not supported by .NET Core.
What is binary serialization?
So it actually converts the objects into like binary form, like binary codes, those which can be like again transformed back to the objects.
And why is it that it is not supported? See, in WPF, WinForms, Web Forms, anything Windows specific, yes, it makes sense because we want to create a more general application which can be used with other platforms, right? I mean, based on the principles of portability of an application or a framework. But in terms of binary serialization, any particular reason why it is not supported? Is that something very Windows specific, or is it that the binary formats change or mutate across different platforms? Is that the reason?
I am not sure about the reason. I'll look into it. Okay. So these are some of the code differences which help us to use various other editors. Like initially in MVC, we have the Razor format, which includes C# coding or WB Visual Basic coding with our HTML. So you can see this .html .label is a HTML helpers that the .NET Framework offers us. This cannot be interpreted by any other editors like Sublime Text or we need the Windows Studio to use such kind of code. With .NET Core, these are changed to attributes. So instead of using those CS Razor view, we can just use these attributes. So we don't need Visual Studio on Mac or Linux platform to achieve the same thing like we had in .NET Framework. So here's one another example. This is a form, and we are using HTML helpers to use to create this form. So this can only be interpreted, only be compiled in our Visual Studio. But now Windows Core offers a more generic view, which this can be interpreted by any HTML editor. So what are like now with this improvement, should we migrate to this platform? What all should we consider while migrating to .NET Core? So it is a new platform, but sure, but the things we do are all we already know. So we need to look into the cost of migration, and there's not that like I told you, some things are not supported by .NET Core. So all the projects cannot be migrated. So what should be migrated and what should be not? WPF, as I told you, cannot be migrated. WinForms and ASP.NET Web Forms. General purpose libraries should be migrated because .NET Core renders them fast, and can those things can be that can be migrated are ASP.NET MVC, microservice, and console apps. So that's all. Thank you for being so patient. Any questions?
I didn't understand the part cost of migration.
So obviously you need to now change the code. So obviously that includes a cost like labor cost or whatever the.
I thought.
And no, and it's a open source, so there's no extra cost apart that. This cost of migration is the man hours you need to change the required to change the code. There are because .NET Core is open source, it's considerably cheaper to use than .NET framework. Anything else?